What is going on, you guys? So right behind me I have the Volkswagen Arteon. Now prior to this I put up the video of me filming the 2020 Volkswagen Passat, and that car is not impressive. It feels like Volkswagen wasn't even trying. This is complete opposite. This has all the features that Volkswagen has thrown into a sedan, and in this video I'm going to show you guys why this is truly a bargain luxury vehicle.
There's no denying what we want. There's no denying what we want. Playing games, no. There's no denying what we want. There's no denying what we want. Playing games, no. There's no denying what we want. There's no denying what we want. Playing games, no. There's no denying what we want.
All right, everyone, let's go ahead and check out the Volkswagen Arteon. Now, this is actually not as bargain as you guys would think. This is pretty expensive. This is the SEL trim with the R-Line package, and as is, this is around $48,000, a little bit over $48,000. That is quite a bit of money. For comparison, you can get an Audi A5 Sportback for actually less than this for a base model. Now, granted, this is fully loaded, and a fully loaded A5 Sportback is high $50,000, low $60,000, depending on how you spec it. So you're technically saving about $10,000 here versus that car, and we're gonna jump into it and see if you guys would be willing to save that 10 grand. Now, let's start with this black. This is deep black pearl, and in the sunlight, this thing looks incredible, guys. This is such a good looking black, and mostly because it has tons of pearl to it. So it really lives up to the name, and you can see that pearl in direct sunlight. It is gorgeous, and the black on here just looks really menacing. And speaking of menacing, as you move to the front, I love the front end design of this car. I think compared to every Audi, this looks more aggressive. This looks more exotic. And my favorite part is that the LED lights basically fold right into the grille, and it does it so seamlessly, and I think that is an awesome design feature. And I think that seamless integration is something a lot of manufacturers don't do anymore, so I really appreciate Volkswagen for doing that. But you have full LED lights, the car looks great at night, and then you do have auto leveling lights, so they are going to do that nice little dance whenever you turn it on. And you also have adaptive lights that turn left and right with your steering wheel. Now, this grille is pretty much fully functional. You have your intercooler down at the bottom, radiator up top, functional areas over here off to the side. And then as we move up, really nice, mean and aggressive hood lines. I do like that. Then as we move to the wheels, you have these 20-inch matte black wheels, and they look so good. I filmed the Arteon without these wheels, and it just doesn't look the same. This is the move to make if you guys are going to get an Arteon. Though, admittedly, they do protrude out a little bit, so I always worry about curbing them. But if you can get over that, these are just a really nice looking set of wheels. Now, these are going to be wrapped in two 45/35 Continental tires, and you're going to have that same width all the way around the car, so a nice square setup. Another feature I do like is this clamshell style hood. You guys can see the line right there, and it folds right at the top of your R-Line badge right here. Now, as we move back, the profile is really nice. This has a more sleek profile, I think, than the new A7 and the A5 Sportback. It just looks very cohesive. Everything looks very nice. Now, moving back to this rear quarter panel area, this is where it starts to look very Mercedes-Benz for me, and most of it is due to the taillight design. It's just very simplistic, nowhere near as out there and aggressive as the front, but I do kind of like how it goes to a different personality as you move to the back. It's like a reverse mullet. Now, obviously, those lights are going to be full LED, and once again, at night, they look okay. It doesn't look as cool as the front. Once again, more simplistic in its design. Now, moving up to the top, you have this third brake light, which is very nicely integrated. As you move back, you have your Arteon badge, a nice little area here to protect your paint as you load things in and out. And then as you move back down here, you have exhausts, and you are going to actually be able to see two exhausts inside each of those chrome frames. And then as we move up, you have your 4Motion badge located over here because this is all-wheel drive. But let's go ahead and fire up that turbocharged 4-cylinder and see how it sounds.
All right, so here's your key for the Volkswagen Arteon. Now, here's your lock, your remote start, your hatch release, your unlock. You have your panic button here off to the side, which is funny because it has a little guy running away there. Your Volkswagen symbol, and then a physical key to get in and out of the car if this battery were to die or if the car's battery were to die. That way you can still get your belongings out. Now, right here on the door handle, you have a little indent, and you're gonna put your thumb there. It's gonna lock the vehicle. Your mirror is gonna fold in. And then right behind here, you have a touchpad, and then you just put your hand there, and that's going to unlock the vehicle. Let's go ahead and check out the rest of the car.
All right, guys, so walking up to the Arteon. Now, this does have a two-tone interior, and it's basically just going to be a white and black interior. Now, coming over to the door, you have a pretty good use of material. So up top, this is going to be soft touch right up here. This is going to be plastic, but it does have this cool, almost aluminum looking weave to it. Now right in here, you are going to have ambient lighting, and the ambient lighting here looks incredible at night. So that is one thing I really do enjoy about this car. Up here, you have your Diane audio. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it, but you've got your tweeter right there, door locks, obviously your door handle there, some piano black surrounding all of that. Then as you come down, you have your door handle, or your grab handle, which is going to be softer, hard touch there on the back, window controls, mirror controls, window locks, soft leather padding here. This is going to be hard right here in the middle, so you guys can see the soft and the hard plastic separating right there. This is a super, it's not very soft, but it is going to be a little on the hard side, so resting your elbow in there surprisingly is not that comfortable. But you do have a felt lining the inside of your door cubby right here. It'll focus, there we go. And that basically keeps everything from rattling around, making a lot of noise. Hatch release there, two more speakers located right there. R-line kick plate, which looks really nice, finished off in this brushed aluminum. Arteon branded mats, aluminum pedals there, seating controls, massage seat button right here, two memory seat settings. The leather quality is obviously very, very good. Perforations there in the middle, a little leaf, and then you have perforations running all up the middle of the seat. Let's go ahead and hop in though, and then we'll check out the rest of the car. All right, let's go ahead and shut the door on the Arteon. Nice solid shut. Now here's a wider look at the interior for you guys. Now as you come down here, here's your start stop button. And all you gotta do is foot in the brake, hit that start. Very nice. Now one thing I do like is when you have not driven the car for a while, it does this cool startup, really nice startup screen, and it looks awesome. So I did want to let you guys see that as well. Now this is a full digital display similar to Audi's virtual cockpit. This is basically Volkswagen's version of that. You can't do as much. You can't make it a full map like you can on the Audi. This is pretty much all you can do, and you can scroll through different settings here, but that's pretty much the extent of it. You can't even make a map show up in the middle. So I wish you could do more with it, but it is still nice to have a full digital display. Looks great at night, looks great during the day, and it's just nice at adding that higher end feel to it. And then of course, when you rev, everything responds very quickly. The entire system just feels like it's very up to date in terms of being fast, quick, and very reactive, and that's what you want with any sort of technology-based setup. Now, other than that, you've got your fuel over to the bottom right, water temp over on the bottom left, you know, temperature, time, compass, all that at the top, tack to the left, speedometer over to the right, and you can change what appears in the middle as you go through these screens here. Now, we already saw over here to the left, as you come up, you have a vent here. You're going to have some soft touch plastic located there, so you guys can see it bending, have a little bit of give. No Alcantara lined headliner, just fabric right there. A vent there. As you come back across, you don't have a head-up display, speaker right up there. You can see those long horizontal lines coming through here. Also, I apologize for the air freshener over there. Right in the middle, you're going to have a clock, which I don't feel like really adds anything to the interior. It does look nice to have it, but it kind of blends in a way that I barely ever notice it. Now moving down, you are going to have your parking, automatic parking right there. It only does parallel parking though, it won't do perpendicular. Then right next to that, you have your parking sensors as well as your parking camera, which you can pull up right there. So if you press that, we'll pull up your 360-degree view, which is nice to have always. And then you can go over here, adjust the contrast color, things like that, though you cannot switch between different views, like just the side view, just the rear, or just the front. Now, using this touchscreen, you guys can already see there's tons of fingerprints on here. That is the biggest downside, especially if you're big on keeping your car clean. Now, coming over here, you can scroll through the different menus. You can do things like adjust your ambient lighting, which looks really cool. You do have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto on here as well, so it is nice to utilize that. And for the most part, the settings are pretty basic, similar to every other Volkswagen. And then you have the anticipation factor, so the screen will anticipate your touch, and as I pull my finger closer, you guys can see the bar goes up and pulls up a more informative version of the icons there on the side. Now, as you come down, you have heated and cooled seats, and you can also adjust it using this touchscreen right here. Dual zone climate control. Fan speed here in the middle, a little bit of area to put things like a phone, so I have my phone in there. Same Volkswagen shifter you've had for years. Throw it in reverse, you do have your backup camera that comes up. The quality could be a lot better. It is definitely on the grainy side, so I wish they would update that. And then this is your 8-speed dual clutch right here. So it is very nice. You can throw it off to the side, shift manually this way, pull it down to throw the transmission into S, pull again to throw it into drive. You can have your different drive modes here. So you have Eco, Comfort, Normal, Sport, and then your custom setting, which you can adjust for yourself. And that is going to adjust things like your suspension, your steering, throttle response, and all that good stuff. Automatic start-stop right here. You do have a heated steering wheel as well as a USB for your Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. And you have a ton of blank buttons, which I'm not sure why you have in a car this expensive. You also have hard plastic all right here. Now, you fold this back, you have 2 cup holders, obviously, electronic parking brake, another blank button here, which I'm surprised you don't have like automatic brake hold here. A little bit of area, 12 volt located there. Armrest is nice and soft, but can only really fit one arm right there. Lift that up, and you have a decent amount of space. So I have some items in here. I have a USB in there as well, which I do have plugged in to charge my GoPro. And then the cubby space is pretty on the shallow side. It's a little deep, but it's nowhere near as deep as you would want to have. Now, you do have a lockable glove box here, lined in felt, CD player in there as well. And as you come up, you have a frameless auto dimming mirror right here, though you don't have any home link located in this car. You have full LED lights, so you guys can see that turning on there. One interesting thing about the ambient lighting is this entire light fixture lights up, and it looks cool, but it kind of always makes you think that your lights are on, so it can be slightly distracting, but there is no denying it does look awesome at night. Now, folding this down, you do have an LED light over here with your vanity mirror. And that's pretty much going to be it for the interior. Let's go ahead and check out the back seat.
All right, so hopping in the back of the Volkswagen Arteon. Now, I've got a decent amount of leg room, feet room. My feet can slide under it easily. This is set to where I would sit, and I've got about 2.5, 3 inches of knee room, which is pretty good. The only issue is my headroom. So if I sit up straight, I can slightly feel my hair scraping. I do have my hair up, and being 6 feet tall, you don't have a ton of headroom. I think if I wouldn't have had my hair down, I would have about an extra inch to spare, but if you're above 6 feet, you're definitely going to be scraping your head in this, and most of that is due to that slanted roof. Now, because it looks good, it is going to cut into your head space. Now, you do have LED lights back here. You have 2 vents, heated seats for both outboard passengers. You're going to have a USB underneath here. I'm sorry, not a USB, a 12 volt underneath here. And then this middle hump is a little high, but because of the way the seats are, they kind of sit you at an angle. I don't think this should be an issue if you decide to put a third person here. Now, you do have hooks here off to the side. I've got hooks up here, a grab handle, and then folding down this middle armrest. It is incredibly plush. So just like the Passat that I reviewed, same thing here. Just really plush armrests, nice deep cup holders, and then you do have a pass-through here in the middle if you need to pass through longer items. But that's pretty much going to be it for the back. One thing I did forget is you do have that awesome coupe-like style door. So it doesn't have a frame, it's just going to be the glass. And then you have a carpeted cubby space right here, so that way it's not gonna make a ton of noise. But that's pretty much it for the back. Let's go ahead and check out the trunk space. Okay, so coming to the back of the Arteon. Now you are going to have 3 ways to get in. You can use your key. You do have a kick function where you just kick your leg underneath. That's going to open the hatch for you. Or my favorite way is you just push on the top of the Volkswagen emblem, and that is going to unlock your hatch right there. Now once you're here in the back, you have a good amount of space, and I think that's the best part about this being a hatchback. Now you can remove this cargo cover, fold the seats down, and at that point you have SUV levels of storage space back here. And I think that is the coolest thing, to be able to still have your sedan and then still have that large opening. You can fit things that you wouldn't normally be able to fit in a vehicle that has a normal trunk. So I do like that aspect. Now underneath the floor here, so if you guys can see right back here, you are actually going to have a full size spare with a matching wheel. It's the same tire, it's the same wheel, and then you have a sub back here for your sound system. So that is the coolest thing I have seen, and I don't think I've reviewed personally a new car that has a full size spare that's exactly the same as your other wheels. Other than something like a Wrangler, this is extremely unique, and I think that alone is one of the coolest things about this car. But you can also close the trunk, lock it, and you can close it normally. So let's go ahead and see what's under the hood. All right, so coming under the hood of the Volkswagen Arteon. Now you have 1 engine option, you have 1 transmission option. The engine option is Volkswagen's 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. This is gonna make 268 horsepower, 258 pound-feet of torque. And you are going to have an 8-speed DSG automatic transmission. That is the only combination you can get in this vehicle. Your other options are going to be things like front-wheel drive or the 4Motion all-wheel drive. So because this is the SEL with the R-Line package, you get all-wheel drive, but that is going to drastically affect your fuel economy. So you have a maximum of 27 miles per gallon on the highway that you can get in this. So that's not very impressive, and we're gonna go ahead and get this on the road and see how this car does. All right, everyone, so driving the Volkswagen Arteon. Now, having just driven the Passat, I've got a good basis of comparison between a very mediocre sedan from Volkswagen and a very good sedan from Volkswagen. So this is nothing like the Passat that I drove. It's a little bit quieter, it's even smoother, even more controlled on the highway than the Passat was, which was already extremely good. And going from that car to this car, you get in and it feels like you just upgraded to a luxury car, like a full-on luxury car. It is really nice in here. And though it may look pretty plain on video and pictures, if you ever sit in this thing in person, you'll realize that all of the materials in here are very high-end feeling. I think aside from, you got some obviously hard plastics down here and stuff, everything else feels good. The car feels solid. The steering is very light, typical Volkswagen Audi steering. It is just very light, not a ton of feel to it. We are in eco mode right now, so I honestly think that when you're in eco mode, this is like turning a dial. It's so easy, which you either hate or you love. I personally don't love it because I just want a little bit of feedback coming from my steering wheel. This really doesn't give you any. It is very precise though. Now, moving along, in eco mode, it is actually the best mode to drive in every day. That may sound insane, but the throttle is much easier to control. When you put it in normal, sport, the throttle is very, very touchy, extremely touchy. So much so that you'll kind of jerk off of the line a little bit more quickly than you anticipated, and then it shifts down and you're really not going that fast. So it has almost sports car-like sensitivity, but minus the sports car acceleration. So I personally would not like that, but you can go into your modes, click your custom mode, and really set it up the way you want. Now, switching to comfort, it does adjust the suspension ever so slightly, and really comfort, normal, eco, they're pretty much the same thing. Once you go into sport, it gets a little bit rougher, the steering gets a little bit tighter in sport, which we'll switch to right now.
And then obviously it puts the transmission in its most aggressive setting. It'll downshift way up into the RPMs and give you all of your power right when you need it. So that is good. The only downside is that it's not very powerful. It feels adequate for this car, but it's not by any means impressive. It's much, much better than the Passat. You have more than enough power to do your everyday things, but it's really not a lot more than that. Even though 268 sounds like a lot, this personally feels less than that, which is usually not the case with German cars. Usually it feels a little bit stronger. This one, if I were to punch it right now, so it downshift, as you guys can see, it hesitated just a bit, even in sport mode, and I have the transmission in the S setting. So let's try doing that one more time. If I'm gonna get over, floor it. So it takes a bit. And this is the DSG, this is the dual clutch, so I'm surprised it doesn't downshift faster and more aggressive, but you can take full control using the paddles, which are video game like. They're like this big, so they're very, very tiny. It feels like you're pushing buttons. And even using the paddles, it's not as quick as something you would get in like a GTI or something like that. It's almost as quick, but just slightly slower, which is kind of frustrating because this is quite an expensive sedan. I really wish Volkswagen would have tuned it a little bit sportier, but then again, it doesn't feel like that's what they were going for with this car. This feels like more of a bargain luxury sedan versus something like a Kia Stinger GT, which is supposed to be a bargain performance sedan. So this does feel nicer than like a Stinger GT, even though that car is very, very nice. This does feel Audi-like. This does feel exactly like you'd expect from a luxury German brand, just at a slightly more affordable price. And I love it. And at night, everything looks incredible. The ambient lighting looks awesome in this car. It is so cool looking. You can obviously change the colors, all that good stuff. And I love it. This Dine Auto, I am so sorry, I do not know how to pronounce that. Dine Audio sound system sounds amazing. It's really good. I wish I had a head-up display, which you cannot get in this car. And yeah, other than that, it drives great. I mean, it's fantastic to drive when you're not wanting anything sporty. If you want just a comfortable, stylish, high-end feeling cruiser that has a ton of space in the trunk, I mean, this is it. This is that car, and it really does feel like luxurious in here. It feels really high-end, and I cannot stress that enough. I think that is one thing that Volkswagen nailed on the head with this car, is it truly feels like you are just buying a more affordable Audi. It doesn't feel like a cheaper Audi, it feels like a more affordable Audi. Like instead of getting an A5 Sportback, you can get this, have 20 more horsepower, a little bit more torque, and you have a better looking vehicle, in my personal opinion. A more cohesive design, and everything is just a little bit more usable. I really like it. And yeah, let's go ahead and do some highway driving. Okay, so on the highway, let's go ahead and do a little bit of pull. There we go. And it picks up really nicely. The only thing is that it just takes a bit for it to downshift. However, once it does downshift, you get into the power, it pulls really well, especially at higher speeds. So I'm actually going to get this up to around 80 miles an hour. Now, there aren't a lot of highways that have 80 miles an hour, full disclosure. However, I want to do this for you guys because I want to show you something pretty incredible about this car. Now, obviously, this car is built in Germany. It's built for things like the Autobahn to go even faster speeds and feel stable. What that means for us here in the US is that this car can handle speeds between 70, 80, even above, and feel quiet. It is very quiet right now, aside from when you go over the lines on the road. But right now, I can talk a little bit quieter. It's fine, which is incredible going 80 miles an hour. It doesn't feel scary. The car feels rock solid. And when you're driving, it just rebounds so well. The suspension isn't rough by any means. I'm comfortable. The most noise I have coming in is the wind noise, because it's very windy today. And even with it being that windy, it's so quiet. And I think that's really incredible, and that's a huge selling point for this car, because no other car in the class, not the Camry, not the Accord, can drive these speeds, or can even drive at speed on the highway and feel this stable. It's pretty incredible. And I mean, that's definitely German engineering for you. So I think that the Arteon nails that. It's quieter than the Passat. It rides a lot more comfortable than the Passat. And I've actually taken this on a road trip before. This is my second time reviewing this. I drove it from Texas to Ohio. I'll link that video in my description, but I mean, it's awesome. And I think that's the biggest plus for this car for sure. It feels like a luxury vehicle at a bargain price. Well, everyone, that is going to conclude my review of the Volkswagen Arteon. Comment below, let me know what you guys think of this car. Do you think it is truly bargain luxury? Do you think it's way overpriced for being a Volkswagen? Would you get this? Would you not get this? And if you're new to my channel, I'd love to have you guys subscribe. Be sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. That way you guys never miss an upload, and I'll see you guys in the next review. Y'all take care.